Good evening, guys. Welcome to edspread YouTube channel. I hope you guys are doing well. And this is day 5 in our web development bootcamp. And there are more 2 videos to be completed. And at the end of this bootcamp, I'll be explaining you about a project and which you'll be submitting at the end of the bootcamp to receive a certificate of completion. And don't forget to fill the attendance sheet present in the chat box so that by the completion of the bootcamp you'll be getting a certificate of participation. So you'll be receiving 2 certificates after the end of the bootcamp. And join our WhatsApp group mentioned in the description to receive updates and also to get this PPT and other resources which we'll be sharing with you. And stay tuned with our edspread YouTube channel to participate in many more bootcamps. So let's start today's session. In yesterday's session, we have completed most of the CSS topic, and today we'll be covering the divs and the other attributes like border padding and also the margin. So let's start with the div tag. The div tag is also called as division tag. So the division tag, the names are even suggest that the div tag creates the certain divisions in our HTML page, or we can also say that it acts like a container in which we'll be placing our HTML elements like the header tags or paragraph tags, and whatever changes made on the div tag applies to all the elements present inside the div tag. So hence we usually use a div tag for footers, images, and headers, so that we'll be able to distinguish or we'll be able to divide those from the other elements. And the changes made on the div tag will also reflect the element to the elements present inside the div tag. So let us see a demonstration of it. Yeah, let's open School. This is our div file. Create a new file. Say div. This is HTML boilerplate, and let's give a title. Open it our browser. Got a div web page, and in body, first of all, let's try to create elements without div and see the difference between them. Now let's give an h tag saying um, let's say the random, and give a paragraph tag saying this is our fifth video in our web dev bootcamp. Now save this and run. So I guess you might have already visualized your output because you have made this output many times. Now let us try to give a background color. Now suppose I'm giving my background color to h1 tag using inline CSS style. Background color, let's give dark green and copy the same thing over here. Instead of this, let's try our new output which we learned yesterday. Use classes. Let's say this is let's say it's a div. Copy this class ID and paste it over in the p tag. Head over to your title section. View style sheet. And as we are using classes, you can access by using dot operator, dot div. Let's give them a background color of dark gray. So you're getting this background color. You can see there is a blank space between them. So how this background color is working in the sense, First of all, h1 is getting a background color, so h1 element is only up to here, it covers to entire line, so this h1 tag is getting background color, and then the p tag is getting a background color. Now what if we want say that this entire thing is our header part, and we don't want this white space to remain white, so we want this to keep gray. We can do it by using in body tag, but what happens is when you write this thing in body tag, as you can by using inline css, you can say background color as some dark color. As we know, inline css has got represents the olive green, so the entire thing is being covered in dark gray. I don't want in such process, so I want only this entire part to become dark gray, but even this empty space should also be covered in gray. So when you encounter such situations, all you can do is, let's remove our css part, create a div. So just go here and create a div. Here you go. Now in our div tag we have our h1 and p elements. So now let's remove this and keep it as div. So div is a type css. So here we have mentioned div, right? So it's gonna take our div. Now when you save and run, you can see that the white space has been removed and the entire uh, div tag has been covered with a gray color. Now you can also check this by going to inspect and head over to body tag, and here click on div. When you hover over there, you'll be getting a display for your div tag. So which means the entire thing comes under single entity. So whatever you change make in this div tag will affect both h1 and p tag. So usually we use this. So let's say this is our header part, and we write some body part, and then after the ending part, and will be also having certain images. So we'll keep this head part in one div, the body part in one div, and the end part in one div, and the image is another div, so that we can easily differentiate. We can say this is our head div. We can write here our class as head, and we'll be writing another div and give it as class a body class, and then an end class. So by this way our codes look cleaner and also easy to understand and easy to implement. So that's about the div. And yeah, div tag is a block level tag. So what is block level tag? We'll discuss it later, so, but I'll just give you a overview. Now you can see that I didn't mention width or height anything, but this thing is entirely taking a block. It's like a block, you see. It's going until the end of the web page. It's not stopping over where the theory stop. Now you can see the height. When you see the height, our text is up till here, so our div is stopping at this line itself. But when we are coming to the width part, it's going into the end of the web page rather than stopping here. So this type is known as block, because whenever you try to give some other text. Now let us give a p tag here. Let's say this is a block. Now save and run. You're getting the p tag at the followed by this div. Why we are getting, instead of this getting here, we can get even here, right? But this has been occupied. Actually you're not mentioning any position here. So what happens is every element which you mention here tries to go to the top of the web page. As the top of web page has been taken by the div tag, then it will come under the div tag. Or if the div tag ends over here itself, then the block will come towards the left. So such type are known as inline block css, inline css. Now we are talking about block level tag, not inline level. So let's check those later. And that's about block level. And yeah, it is used to group of various tags. Now you can see we are using different tag, and h1 and p tag, which are different tags, and we are merging them inside our div tag. Yeah, the next one is favicons. This is pretty interesting and easy. Favicon stands for favorite icon. So here you can see that there's a tiny little icons over here saying somewhat like P. So whenever we see such type of icons, we'll be remembering, so okay, this is presentation icon, this is a global single. When you open the Google, this is the color palette, a color hunt symbol, and when you go for Google, you'll be getting a Google symbol. So it's pretty cool, right? Getting these symbols on top of your web page, and it's easy to identify. So we can create such type of icons. So those are known as favicons or favorite icon. Now let us create them. To create them, go to favicon.cc. When you go there, you'll be getting the favicon generator by which you can create your own icon. So now let us create an edspread icon. Now let's click here. It's type of S, right? Okay, I know that's horrible, but bear with me. You can press here transparent, which is an eraser basically, and you can remove the extra parts, and by unclicking you can add your extra parts. So about to see how a preview of it, you can slide down. You can see over here you're getting an spread icon. So it's showing that a preview of it and how will it look when you try to implement it in your HTML page. So now I guess so far it's fine with me. I cannot implement more cleaner. So let's download the icon. And don't forget to place it in your same folder at which you're writing your code. It's a intro and day 5. Yeah, it's been downloaded. Now you can see here we got a favicon. Yeah, so these are favicon. You can see it's over here. When you try to zoom, it looks horrible, but as we'll get a small size to it, it looks pretty cool. Now let us go to our div HTML and try to create our favicon. So to create the so I guess you remember the external CSS how to implement it. So it's almost the same. You have to give a link tag, and inside thing you have to give a relation. Now if you might remember, while creating external CSS we gave the relation as style sheet, but this is not a style sheet, right? This is just an icon. So I'll be giving the relation to this as icon, and obviously there should be a hyper reference or else it cannot create the favicon, right? You have to give a certain URL reference. So you can even save this in your desktop rather than saving the same folder, but you have to give the a path over here or the URL. So instead of that, you can directly paste it in the same folder and you can give its name. It's favicon.icon. Now save this and run. Got nice little spread icon over there. So even let's change this div to, now it looks cool. Now you can see there's a little more dots present at the bottom. So I should have removed them. Yeah, now let's so that's about the favicons. So how to create them and how to create merge them in your web page. Now after that we have a border. So from here your main CSS starts. We have 3 main attributes: border, margin and padding. Knowing difference between them is really important. So let's check about the border. I guess we have already played with border during modifying our HR tag. So I'll once again tell you about the border. So when it comes to border, it sets an elements border. Let's say now let's create a rectangle over here, a nice little rectangle. Let's give a tag. First of all, let us give a class. Say it as a red, and head over to your style tag. You have used class, so use dot operator to access them. And inside, let's create a certain width. Let's Okay, I have to give them inside style tag, sorry. Just a minute. So this is a style tag. Let's create inside the style tag. Yeah, red. So that's the reason I use base code. Now I had seen the style tag, the closing tag, and I have started writing over here. But then you can see the color difference. When you write inside, you are getting a little yellow, and outside you'll get a white color. So you can thereby identify if there's an error present in your code. So let's give certain width. Let's say it's 100 pixel, or it might be more. Okay, 50, 70 pixel sounds good. A height as well. And then first of all, let's save this. You're not getting any changes because we haven't made any. Let's give a background color saying a dark red, a blood red or dark red. You can see a little square. This is 70 by 70 a square. So let's make it 100 or 150. Now it's cool. Now let us create a border to it. So a border has three attributes in it. One is border color, border style, and border width. First, let us see border style. The name suggests the style of the border. Let's go for border style. So we'll be having these different borders, and I have also showed you once about border style CSS MDN. Yeah. So this is the none which we are having currently is none, and dotted border. The insert is actually you're getting an elevated type, a dashed one, dashed, and we also have another one which is solid. The solid is pretty basic, you see. Let's see about solid. New solid. Now save this and let's remove this. When you run, you can see a light little black border. If you think this actually not visible, go for inspect, which you can clearly see in your web developer tools. So over here, go for body. This is body, right? Inside body, or it's peak as red. And when you go towards bottom, so this is pretty important diagram. 150 by 150. This is the square which we given here. Width and height of 150 pixel. And then we didn't mention any padding or margin. Now we are having a border of 3 pixels. So this 3 pixels is a default value given by the Chrome Web Developer tools. Now if you try to give a border style solid, and if there are no default settings, then you will not be able to see any black color over here. That's because the border would be 0. So that's the reason Chrome automatically sets few default values. So here it's 3 pixels. Let us change it to a higher value to make it visible. So let us say 20. You can see it's pretty black over here. So that's what the border of the element which we use. Now you might get a doubt. Now we are using a 150 by 150 pixel which width and height. So I have told you that the dimensions of the square is 150 and 150. So is this border included in the 150? No. So this 150 is being given, and the border adds an extra dimension to it. So now if you want to calculate the length of the box, then you can do it by, this is 3 pixel plus 150 pixel plus 3 another 3 pixel. So it becomes 150 plus 6, 156 pixels on total length. On coming to width, here you are having a slight exigence. Let's make this as 3. So also I changed margin, sorry, border. Yeah. So now it's 156 by 156 rectangle. Even though we are giving width height as 150, but as we have made changes on border, now it's 156 by 156. So that's about the border, and you can also first let us Now when I have if I'm changing here the 20, enter, and when you refresh this, what we say, these changes are being gone. So let us make those changes permanently by mentioning over here. So after that's about the border style. Let's see about dotted. This is solid, and see there's a little dot just over there. So that's the dotted part. Even the border is 3 pixels. It's actually, you might think those are emerging inside the box, but it's not. You can see there's an extra 3 pixel border present for the given 150 by 150 rectangle. So that's about border style. And next we have, sorry, yeah, next we have border width. Let's check out border width. So by border width, we can change the width. Actually, we have completed border width itself. Now I have given changes over here saying 20 pixels, right? So that's what border width stands for. Now let's make those changes permanently. Go for border width, border width. And you can see while mentioning over here, you are getting border top width, border, wait, I'll show. Border top width, and also you'll be getting border left width, border bottom width. So you'll be having 4 types. So first let us see only the border width. Let us say I'm making these changes to 10 pixels. Uh, Defaultly it's 3 pixels. Now I have made it to 10 pixels. Let us change this to solid so you can understand it pretty clearly. See, now this is 10 pixels. So in this way we can change the width of border, but in sometimes we want that we will be willing to change only one side of the border on only. So during those changes, then we'll be having yeah. So this is border width, right? Let me go here and select border width. So here you're having 4 attributes. So this is the top width, and this 4 pixels stands for the right side, and 8 pixels on the bottom, 12 pixels on the left. So it's actually moving clockwise. So the values which you mention here comes from the top and moves in the clockwise direction. So now let us make those changes. And if you're giving only 2 values, so this depends on attributes. If you're giving one attribute, then it applies to entire on all the 4 sides. If you're giving 2 attributes, then the 4 pixels comes towards the left and right, and 1.25 comes on top on bottom. So whatever the first attribute you mention comes towards left and right, and the second attribute comes towards top and bottom. So that's about border width. uh, Now I'll show you 10 pixels, and let us say I'm giving 20 pixels. Now save this. You can see on top it's 10 pixels itself because we have mentioned 10 pixels, but on the sides it's been changed to 20 pixels. So that's about border width, and after border width we are having border color. So the name it suggests that it's going to change your border color. See, that's pretty ugly. Yeah, so that's about border. And now let's go for next attribute, which is margin. So the margin is pretty important. Margin is that which also surrounds the 4 sides of an element, but it's invisible. Unlike border, when you mention the color, it's pretty visible, right? Where now you are using the border color and changing it to a different value so that you can differentiate the border color and also the inside part. But while coming to margin, it's somewhat hard to differentiate. And how do you differentiate in essence? Now you are giving this div tag, right? And for this side, you can see when I gave a background color, you can see on top, on side, and on bottom there's few white spaces. Even on the right side, a few white spaces or blank spaces left over, which means it's not entirely covering our web page. It's leaving few margins around it. It's like the boundaries. The exact word comes with as boundaries. So it's creating few boundaries around it. So even if you change the background color, it does not affect the margins. So margins are colorless and invisible. Only way you can find out them is by placing another block after. Now by placing the p tag, you can find that okay, on top of this there is a certain blank space which comes under margin. And if you want to know them in clear, go to inspect, inside body tag, go for the div tag, and over here you can see that actually there's no margin, because for divs there are no margin, but for body there are certain default margins. So when I go to my body tag, I can see a default 8 pixel margin. So when I highlight on 8 pixel, you can see the orange line which is invoking shows the border margin, which is coming for the entire HTML page. If you type your entire HTML code, then an extra blank page will be given at the end of your web page, and that's the reason at the sides you are getting a certain blank space over here. Then only if the border is of this height, then what about this extra height? So let's come to div tag. We are having our h1 class, right? So even in h1, h1 gives a default margin. You can see a margin end of 0.67. Here it's clearly visible, 21, sorry. Now it's a 21 pixel height margin we have. So let's make this to 0. First let us go to body and make this margin as 0. On left side you can see that there's actually go change. Now here there's a white space, and on clicking 0 and entering, you can see now it's been completely filled with overlapping with the web page or coinciding with the web page. Now if I want to remove the top portion as well, go to your h1 class and then make it as 0 on top. Now just check it out. On clicking enter, it just coincides with your web page. See, there's the margin invisible part preventing it. I'll even let us remove at the bottom so that even this block thing comes closer. But you can see there actually the block is not coinciding with our h1 tag. Any guesses? Because the block has a certain margin, because it's a p tag, right? Even p tag has some default values. This h1, now go with your p tag, you can see there's a 16. Before it was 21 for h1 and there is 16 for p tag. Now make this a 0, then you can see those as overlapping. You remove the bottom as well. See now this h1 tag and this p tag is being merged. Now let us do the same for this p tag as well. See, so in this way we can control our margin. So another way where we use margin is that now I have this block on my left side. Now if I want this block in the middle, let us say by 250 pixels or something, then the block comes at the middle. I can do so by changing the margin to it, because the margin is invisible, right? Right, let me demonstrate it. Now this is our my red tag, right? So let us go margin left. So if I want to move this right over here, I should add a certain margin to its left part, right? So I'll be going for margin left and give it as 250 pixel. You can see uh, this space is actually covered by margin, but it's actually empty for us. So in this way we can change the position of our desired elements. Actually we are not changing them, we are adding an extra element over here, but for seeing it's like we are changing the position of our elements. So this is about margin. It has for margin, bottom, left, right, and top. Yes, you can do those. I've told you about margin left. So coming to padding. Now padding is also almost same as margin, but there's slightly difference. I'll show you now. I'm having my rectangle. Yeah, here. So let us write few elements. Let's see. Let's copy this text. Keep on pasting it. Now save this and run. Let us pause, paste for more times. Okay. Okay, now this is fine. Now you can see that on the left side, this is border, and on the left side, the hay is starting from the start of the box, right? Let us remove the border first. Okay, let it be. So just wait a minute. Yeah. So here inside our body tag, let's go to our p tag. You can see this is 150 by 150, and my hay is starting from the 150 part, which means from the start of the rectangle. You can see it's pretty clumsy, and I cannot find where's my text starting from. So in such situations, we'll be having a part known as padding. Now let us make a padding to, let us say, 20 pixels. Now run this. You can see there's actually a certain part added to the side of the elements. To all four sides it's being added. It's known as a padding. Like margin, this is also invisible, but rather than margin, it's always white color or it's in the background color. The padding takes the background color of the given text. Now here I gave the background as crimson or dark red, and now the padding also has the same color. Now we cannot change the background of padding separately. If you want to view the difference in them, then you can go here and you can see I added a 20 padding, right? You can see now. This is an imaginary box. The imaginary type of yellow box you can see over here. That's the padding part which is added. Uh, which prevents text to enter into the padding part. Padding is also like a margin but present inside the border. So you can say that the attribute present outside the border is known as margin, and present inside the border is known as padding. So you can differentiate them in such way because both has the same properties, the margin and padding. And now there's another question here. Now I have made my rectangle as 150 by 150, and on padding does the entire length changes? Yes. Now you can see that my 150 by 150 rectangle is inside, and on adding padding it's not taking the 150 by 150, it's adding an extra 20 pixels to it. So an extra 20 pixels has been added over here and here. So now the entire red box, I'm talking about the red box, the length of the red box is, here we have 20, here we have 150, and here we have another 20, as you can see. So we have 20 plus 20, 40, and this is the 150. So 40 plus 150, 190. So total red box is of 190 and 190 of length and width. So it's a square of 120 by 190 by 190. So that's about the padding. Now let us check the attributes present in padding. Same padding left, padding bottom. So you can control the operations present in the padding. So that's about the three attributes. These three are very important, and let's try to do a question on them. Now you can see, yeah, now you can see this text over here. You can see there are three blocks. like the way you created this box, you can create them, and there's a text between them. By seeing this text, you have to understand that there's a padding present. That's the reason the text is being separated from the border of the rectangle, or else it used to coincide with the border of rectangle. As it's being separated, there's a certain padding present between the border and also the text. So to know the length, just go to Chrome Developer Tools. I can say the length and width of them, but it's better if you try to know them on your own by going. This is the top container, this is the bottom container, it's a middle container, this is the bottom container. So click on top container, or sometimes when you see some random code present in Google, so you might not understand which is top container, which is middle container. Then you have a click over here, which you can inspect by clicking. Now when I turned on this, when you go towards your container, I mean you can it's popping over here. You can just watch over here, you'll get a blue line like this. It's saying top container, and it's saying middle container, and it's saying bottom container. When you go inside here, it's even showing the inside padding part. You can see over in here you're getting few suggestions saying its background is this color, padding is 20 pixels. Padding is 20 pixels you are getting over here. Padding is 20 pixels, and even the color, the font, and everything. If you go in deeper, it's showing about the margin over here. So in this way it's pretty useful. Now let us go here, and this is cool. Now first of all, the main important thing is margin has to be 0. This is coinciding with our web page, so which means you have set the body default settings margin to 0, and also even this margin to 0. And after this we are having a border of 10 pixels. So this black border is of 10 pixels, and the padding is of 20 pixels. Now again, let's go to our red box, the middle container. Now in here, okay, I have to not reveal them. Okay, now this is I'll be giving you the inputs. You have to create 3 such boxes such that their edges should touch to each other. So this is our problem, and the values given to are in this inside the padding is of 20 pixels and the border is of 10 pixels. For this there is no padding because there is no text, no need of padding. This is of 20 pixels, the border is of 20 pixels, and for this the border is of 10 pixels. So now create these 3 in such a way that they have to be touching to each other. So take your time and try this out. Okay, so you can pause this video and try it. So before say starting this problem, you have to get a basic idea of how to move this element. I have told you there's a certain margin over here. That's the reason the element is being moved towards your right. So there's a margin left added to this element, and for this another margin left has been added. So for this a higher margin left has been added so that it moved even more compared to the second element. So first of all, we got a basic idea. We have to add a margin present to the left side. So how much are we going to add it? So that's the main question we have over here. So it all depends on the mathematics. You can see over here we have this of how much width. This is of 10 pixels, and inside there's a padding of 20 pixels. So 10 plus 20, 30. And even here we are having the same 20 plus 10, 30, 30 plus 30, 16. So keep the 60 aside, and we have to know the length of this rectangle. So go for inspect, top container. See, it's a 2 by 200 by 200 rectangle, so that's it we needed. So we had the 60 as padding and boundary. Now this text is 200. Now 60 plus 200 comes to 260. So the length from here to here is of 260. Now you got that 260 as the length of the rectangle. Your first part is successfully completed. Now comes the second part of how to keep this rectangle. Now if you try to keep it as 260, wait, let me demonstrate it so you can find the difference. Let's create a new block saying touching blocks. Let's say demonstration. I'm demonstrating about the difference between the padding, margin, border, and resolve, and how do we use them. Now save this, copy the path. Yeah. Now first of all, let's create three rectangles. So for that, let's take a div tag, a class as the top container. And for this, sorry, the class should be a middle container, right? So this is bottom container. Yeah. So three class actually is you might think this is classes. This is actually rectangles. So let's change them with our internal CSS. You can also do this by external. Head over to style section. With classes can be accessed by dot operator, the top container. Yeah. So first of all, we have to create a 200 by 200 rectangle. So let's do this. Let's say the width as 100 pixels and the height also 200 pixels. Let us give a background color. Which color is this? A grayish type. Yeah, a nice little gray, and we have to even remove the margin. So let's make the default margins as 0. Let's head over to body tag and give the margin as 0 pixels. Yeah, now it's coinciding pretty cool. Now we got ourselves a top container as well. Inside this we have to give a text, right? So let's give it. Inside this, let's keep a p tag. Oh, no need of p tag, we can give it directly. Let's say let's give it in h1 tag. It's look cool. Yeah, so yeah, we have to remove for the margin for h1 as well. So let's remove this for h1 margin, make it as 0 pixels. Now it's cool. Yeah. Now we have to add a border to this. So border is of 10 pixels. So let's head over, and border type is solid. You can say this by looking at it. So first let's go for border style, basic solid type, and then border width. Yeah, border width 10 pixels. Now this looks exactly the same. Now after this, there's the padding of 20 pixels. Go for padding 20 pixels. No, now it's exactly the same. Now we have to do the same for the second rectangle as well. Copy the content. Just shift alt down arrow. Middle container. Capital M, right? Yeah, capital M. Everything is same except the border is of 20 pixels and there is no padding in here. There is no padding and my border is of 20 pixels. And the color is red. Oh, okay, sorry, I made changes over here. Remove the padding, border 20 pixels, make this as a red, and change this to bottom container. Yeah, capital B. Okay. All typo, middle, top. Oh, it looks cool. Correct. Yeah. So this is a red rectangle present here, and next we have a blue rectangle. And for this, there is no padding, and border width is the same as 10 pixels, and this is a blue color. That's it, right? Yeah. This is what we got. Now all we have to do is to change their places. This is very interesting theory comes. Now we have calculated this is 60, 60 plus 200, right? Yeah, 60 plus 200 to 60. So let us make them. We got it 60, right? So this is 20 plus 10, 30, and over here 30, 30 plus 30, 60. And the inside box which we have is 150. So if you have any more doubt, go for inspect. You can clearly observe in inspect. Now see, this is my border which is 10 pixels. So we'll be starting from here, right? This is 10, this is 10, 20, and inside padding we have 20 plus 20, 40. We got the 20 from border, so 40 plus 20, 60. So we got a 60 part, and inside 200, 60 plus 200, 260. Now let us keep the margin left as 260 pixels. See what happens. So we are keeping margin left because the margin has to be added here so that the block moves towards the right. Let me remove this. Wait, I have to save. You can see they're actually touching. So that's what we wanted, right? To touch them. Let's check once. Yeah, it's absolutely correct. So this is about the second block. So calculate the same for the third block. I'll be giving you 2 minutes and then I'll start it. Okay. So now let's calculate the margin for this. Now we got this as 260 pixels. Now you have the idea that up to here it's 260 pixels, and now this is 20 pixels, 280, and this is 200. 280 plus 200, you got 480. 480 plus another 20, 500. That's it, right? 480 plus 20, 500. So now you'll be keeping a 500 pixel, 260, and over these are 20 plus 20, 40. 260 plus 20 is 260 is 40 is 300. 300 plus the 200 inside, but there's no padding present in the rectangle, red rectangle, so it's directly 500. So let us try the 500 over here. Margin left 500 pixel. I hope it would come. Nice, clean and clear. Now we can see there's no change. There's a background color. We can. That's pretty easy to do. Go for style, background color. What type is that? Some light blue, I guess. Okay, some random color. You can see these are same now. So that's about the padding, margin, and the border. These three are mainly important. And in tomorrow session we'll learn about the display blocks and also positioning, floating, and everything. This is fifth day, right? So tomorrow will be containing more part. So don't miss our tomorrow's class is really important. And so that's it for today. uh, I'll be sharing this PPT with you, and mainly if you have tried or if you were able to get this three blocks in an order, then that's no, you're perfect in border, padding, and margin. So That's the reason I wanted to demonstrate you this diagram. And yeah, so yes guys, that's it for today, and meet you tomorrow class, and let's discuss and even more topics in tomorrow class. Thank you, and please do not forget to share, like and subscribe the video.